I'm here with Casey, and I'm here to talk about Ebola and vaccinations and what's going on in what some people perceive as a government cover-up of the Ebola virus. And so Casey has been gracious enough to grant me an interview. She's very articulate, very young, lovely young lady, and I just happened up on her, right, Casey? I've never met you before. You never met me before.
We don't know each other. Actually, I don't even know your name. You know
I'm
my
Greg,
name.
by the way.
Greg?
Greg.
Greg.
Greg with a G.
Greg with a G. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm Casey. We're just talking about, as far as Ebola goes, I am on the fence about it because what we consider to be media these days is what Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie's kid looks like. And I also think that that drives a new strain for ratings among media. And so if something as very scary as Ebola comes up, are they over-advertising it for ratings, or are they hiding things from us because they don't want to create mass panic? I'm one of those people, I like to see the whole picture, and so I think either way. It could be we're not hearing enough, it could be we're hearing too much. We are not prepared with vaccinations for it, so it could be very...
I wanted to get your reaction, Casey. I have done a poster for Alex Jones' InfoWars poster contest. And the idea is that Alex wants to get people's reaction to show these posters in a public display. And it's all about, tyranny is the disease, okay, and help expose it. I'll get a little shot here of that, if I might.
First of all, I love the irony of the masked Mickey Mouses or such. There's no cause for alarm, folks, and everything's fine. Well, it's fine for you because you have a mask on and you know more than we do. I wouldn't be worried if I had extra information in a gas mask either. Actually, I think it's quite funny in an ironic way, because this is something that could be quite scary to our country if it runs rampant, and I think it was put together very well, actually. It's very current, and so it's ironic.
Well, thank you. I just want to talk about a little bit. Now, Michael Savage, I don't know if you know who Michael Savage is, the radio talk show host.
It rings a bell, but...
a libertarian, conservative guy. Speaks his mind very, very plainly. He's a guy that should know. He has a degree in, I want to say microbiology, but he probably does that too. But it's the spread of the disease. I can't think of the theology that is right offhand, but epidemiology. Okay, he has a degree in that. He has a PhD, anyway, he termed on the radio. He called it Obola. Okay, and the reason he said this is very political. Okay, don't know your persuasion on politics at all, but he called it Obola. And actually, I heard it upset Obama very greatly. Okay, but President Obama has refused to halt flights in from the hot zones in like West Africa. And so
he's refused to what?
He's refused to stop the air flights. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, this seems ludicrous to a lot of us. Why are you allowing this into the country?
Right.
Why do you want to bring it here? So here's where I'm focusing. Yes, it's bad when it comes into the United States of America. We're probably somewhat able to deal with it at a lower level unless it gets out of hand. I see the real problem is third world Mexico, where there is very poor health care and disease spreads easily. Okay, so maybe that's one reason they don't want to close the flights in the United States, because maybe they're afraid they will go to Mexico. I can't say. That's a possibility. Okay, but if they do come to Mexico and then try to get into the United States from Mexico, well, what's going to happen in Mexico once all these outbreaks happen? It very likely could become the next Ebola hot zone.
A thought crossed my mind as we're discussing an epidemic in relationship to politics. It is kind of convenient that we all of a sudden have this free health care, and some people are still not happy with that situation. Oh, but all of a sudden, look, we have this epidemic, and maybe that makes him look a little bit better because these people who need free health care really urgently now
Absolutely.
are able to go and get that health care. Now, whether or not it's a serious risk and it spreading down to Mexico, that's terrifying. That's like a real life.
Yeah, we don't know that
zombie
this is going to
scenario.
happen, but I believe my focus is here. It stands a good probability of happening because we know we have flights coming in from West Africa to Mexico. We already have people infected coming in these flights from West Africa to the United States, so it stands to reason they're also coming into Mexico that way.
And I've actually done a couple of reports on addiction and drug trafficking and things like that. My last paper was actually about video games being the newest addiction among our youth.
Yeah, I do want to mention,
had a
Casey
boyfriend
told me
flunk
off camera
out
here that
over
she is a
video games.
journalism student, and so she's very articulate and good at this, and I was very fortunate to come upon her.
Lucky us. So what's interesting to me is that usually when you have people that are involved in drugs and drug trafficking, especially the smaller guy, the guy that's swallowing 15 pellets to try to make $1,000 when he crosses the border, that's a very dirty and risky thing to do. You can get sick that way very easily. And if you have these types of people that are trying to smuggle something maybe from West Africa, yeah, they're going to go into Mexico and then they're going to come up into the United States. And they're not the type of person that's going to be stopping what they're doing.
So
to run
exactly
to the
what fits with
hospital.
what I'm talking about here,
Yeah.
the migration of death.
Yeah.
Because Ebola is deadly. It's very deadly. It depends on whose figures you want to believe or whose sources, but anywhere from 50 to 70% in West Africa. So I mean, it's totally
And if you have somebody that is scared that they're going to be deported if they go to the hospital because they're from Mexico, or you have somebody that is from Mexico and maybe they're used to being sick without having to go to the hospital, or even people in West Africa and even South Africa where they have metropolises and hospitals and things like that, they are not as paranoid as we are over there. I have friends from West Africa. I have friends that are from the United States. Their kid gets a sniffle and it's off to the private doctor. And my friends that are from West Africa, they're like, send them outside. Let their immune system take care of it.
yes.
So it's different. And with something that's as dangerous as Obola.
I like Obola myself.
And you have these different viewpoints.
Because this guy, that this is an effigy here of Obama here as the Green Reaper, but he's the guy allowing it in.
Yeah. Well, you're always going to have these arguments of when do you cross over somebody's basic rights as a human being by stopping them from traveling from one place to another when in any other scenario besides this, they're perfectly legal to do so. And so you're going to have those arguments, but does the risk outweigh that? And I think that's what our country comes down to in almost every single argument is it worth taking away our rights to protect the masses?
Exactly.
That's what it always comes down to. I mean, people versus Larry Flynn, it came down to, is it worth taking away all these rights so that we can protect these few who are offended by it?
I want to tell you very candidly, Casey, I'm astounded by your wisdom at your age. I am. I truthfully am. I'm not around many young people these days. I hope there's a lot of you out there.
You know what? I wouldn't even be able to tell you because I usually hang out with people who are older than me.
Okay.
So that's probably where it came from, and I think it started when I was younger. I was hanging out with my 80-year-old Aunt Maxine.
This kind of wisdom usually doesn't come much later in life. You start to really figure things
Maybe I'll
out.
lose it later in life.
I hope not.
I hope so. I have to get to a birthday party.
I
but